Welcome to Mindfulness Lists. The peace that passes all understanding is the name of the next section of Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. I think I said it in the last section, or maybe in a couple sections. And it's been said in some philosophical circles that in order to gain everything, you have to lose everything. What would happen if you lost everything? It's a lot easier to talk about this type of stuff than for it actually to happen. A little story comes to mind. I'm always telling these little stories. Maybe, I don't even know what year it was around the recession, I guess 2008. Prior to 2008, my mother and her boyfriend and I had a successful business. And we ran the business for about 10 years. And then at the end of 10 years, or close to 10 years, the recession hit. And long story short, our business went under. Having been through a fair amount of life, I knew from prior experience that the most important thing in life is health. The most important thing in life is health. Definitely. You can't buy health. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be poor, but I don't want to be rich and unhealthy. I think I would rather be poor and healthy than rich and unhealthy. Definitely. Just there's a price to pay for stuff. Back to the point. The peace that passes all understanding. So in my experience, my mom and I and her boyfriend, we lost a lot of money. And basically something inside of me, I knew that I would be okay. I definitely knew. It was probably from prior experience losing stuff earlier in my life. And as long as you got your health, you'll be okay. It's, it's tough. Probably the hardest thing about life for me is death. Probably my most recent trauma was losing a dog that I had for about 15 years or so, 13 years. And it broke my heart. It really, it broke my heart. The dog was my best friend. She just had been through a lot with me and was my best friend and was always there for me. And I feel through the lifestyle that I live, I treat myself pretty well. In the past, I've done my share of partying. I've done drugs. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll were basically my diet for a long time. And, there's that saying, and the saying goes, at the end of the path of indulgence is the doorway to enlightenment. And, I think you could do it that way, but there's other ways to do it. I also believe in role modeling. So, if you want a role model, if you're on a highway to hell, baby, if you're in a downward spiral, look at other people. If you've got problems with drugs or alcohol, look at other people who do the same drugs that you do. Some people, I think anything could be a drug, really. You could probably get in trouble just watching too much TV. Where were you? You were supposed to be at work today. Oh, I was watching the entire Walking Dead series. I've been up for 5 days, binge watching Netflix or whatever it is, eating gummy bears and your teeth rot out. You're thirsty and you get addicted to drinking water. You're going to drown, basically. So I think moderation is the key. But when we're talking about the peace that passes all understanding, sometimes you lose things in life, and sometimes it's really actually liberating. In my case, when we lost our house and our business, it was sad at first, cleaning up all the stuff. I was living in this beautiful house that my mother and I had remodeled together for 4 years. My mother my grandmother and I remodeled it for 4 years straight. We put sweat, blood, and tears into this beautiful house, just an incredible house, on the Riviera in Santa Barbara, overlooking the islands, just incredibly beautiful. And we lost it. And, something inside of me knew that things would be okay. And my mom was sad, and, my grandma was old at that point, so she really, she knew what was going on, but she knew that, just inherently, she knew that we would be okay. And my mom was sad, and I told her, it'll be okay, Mom. You watch. Things are going to go back to normal. And we moved into a new place. We rented out a place, and it just so happened that new place was awesome. We didn't own it, but it was in the center of Santa Barbara off of Las Positas, and just right next to some of the most beautiful trails in Santa Barbara. It was a wonderful place. And since then I've moved a couple more times, and I'm just the same. I'm no happier. I'm no more depressed, but just realizing that, we think that, certain circumstances are what makes us happy. And it's not circumstances that make us happy or give us joy. That stuff comes from inside of you. When you fall in love with somebody, and it's amazing because everything, you're like glowing and everything's great. That love was inside of you already. That person didn't make you love them. There was love already in your heart. It's already there. And when things do happen in life, everything's temporary, and everything will eventually be taken away from us, whether it's health or people around us dying. There's a great loss, but there's also a great gain of realizing that there's joy within inside us without any of these material things. I'm not saying I want to go without material things, but there's already joy inside of us. And on the other end of the spectrum, you see people who have it all and they don't have joy. So, it's kind of it's a fine balance. We deserve great things. Work hard, play hard, spend money, get nice things, but just realize that the peace is already within inside of us. And I think that peace inside of us, maybe it is freed by when we lose things. When we lost our place, it was a great loss, but also some things, they began to own you as well. I don't have a college education. I went to a little bit of city college, and I'm capable of what I'm capable of. I'm a blue collar worker, and I'll most likely be that for the rest of my life. And I'm perfectly fine with that. But some things, they begin to own you. When we had a successful business and a huge house, and that stuff, it comes at a price. It's psychologically taxing to have to come up with a lot of money. Between the three of us, my mother, and her boyfriend, we each owed $7,000 a month. And that's a lot of money to be worried about every single month. When you have a weight like that lifted off your chest, don't get me wrong, I would have loved to have paid off that 30-year loan. But when you have that weight lifted off of your chest and you realize that there's other things to be had out there, everything has its price. Personally, I only work part-time, and I kind of like it that way. I've been kind of a slacker a lot of my life. I've had some great times, and I might not be as financially secure as other people, and it is a bit scary. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll work till I die because I have to, basically. While I was young, I'm still, fairly young. I'm 48 years old, and I figure I'm halfway through my life. I'm going to die when I'm 96. So I'm halfway through. And for the first half of my life, I pretty much messed around. And, when you're young, I think that's the time to mess around. I would have much rather done that and worked the last and half of my life than have worked hard. Maybe, I don't know, I just with the brain that I have, I didn't have the tools to go and, get some college education and be a doctor and retire by a certain age. So I did the jobs that I could, blue collar work, and kind of stretched it out. I'm still working. I work part-time and I party part-time. I don't drink or smoke or do anything, but I consider it a party. I get to play guitar and I get to do yoga and I get to lift weights all the time. So my life is pretty damn good. But there probably will be a time when those things end. Hopefully not, when I'm not able to play guitar anymore, or when I'm not able to lift weights anymore, or when I'm not able to do yoga anymore. And that'll probably be a weight off of my shoulders as well. I won't have to worry about doing that stuff anymore. I could do something else, and my spirit can shine through even brighter. Eventually, time is an angel or devil, best friend or worst enemy.